Wizards of the Coast has announced some massive changes, specifically in regards to the WPN. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, and welcome to my video discussing the massive changes that are being made to the WPN. For those of you who don't know, WPN stands for Wizards Play Network. This is the system they use to determine how many promos and things of that nature to give out to different stores dependent on what level they are involved with. There's 3 different levels of WPN, or I suppose there were 3 different levels of WPN membership that would determine just exactly what your store got to help foster your play environment. So if you've ever gone to an F&M and you've got F&M promos, those are WPN promos. So that's the sort of thing that we're talking about here. Now, as I said at the very beginning of the video, they've made some massive changes to this. They were outlined in an article that was put up on the 12th of March. So we're going to go through that entire article. It's kind of a bigger article, but in all honesty, there's not just one little piece that I want to narrow in on. So we're going to go through the whole thing and discuss all of this. I've been playing Magic since basically the beginning. I saw the introduction of the WPN. I've seen the different incarnations, the changes. So I'll be able to give you my insights and opinions on how this is all shaking out. So let's dive into the article. When the Wizards Play Network launched 10 years ago, it included about 2,000 game stores. One also did oil changes. Another mostly sold lumber, and we were grateful for them. We knew retail was the demand driver, not just places to buy, places to play. Competitive gaming spaces, community hubs, Magic needed a social infrastructure. The WPN would build it with any materials available. The WPN is the organization through which your local game store gets promo cards, products like Signature, Spellbook Jace, and previously From the Vault, and so on. If you've ever been to Friday Night Magic or a pre-release, you've been to a WPN member store. Each member falls into one of our 4 levels, and they get benefits based on which one they fall into. Apparently there was a 4th level that I somehow forgot. The WPN worked. Today, there are almost 6,000 WPN members serving more players than any other point in Magic history. Last June, Dominaria shattered the record for best attended season of all time. Guilds of Ravnica beat that record in September. It worked. But as the breadth of in-store play grew, so did the breadth of stores providing it. There's a store running 100-player F&Ms. There's also a store running F&M in what can only be described as a tundra. How can our current level paradigm with only 4 tiers possibly serve them both adequately? Quality grew too. With more stores came more competition, and that competition refined the in-store experience over time. A store in Seattle has a glass chandelier in its game room. A store in rural Canada serves players 200 miles from the next nearest WPN member. Well, thanks for relegating Canada to, these hicks in the sticks. Thanks. How can our current metrics possibly measure the value they deliver to those fans? They can't, but that's about to change. Introducing the new Wizards Play Network. Since the WPN debuted 10 years ago, in-store Magic has quadrupled in size, and we want to be able to say the same thing in another decade. To help us get there, we're introducing a new WPN, one that scales to serve every LGS local game store adequately. Welcome to the new Wizards Play Network. Out levels in scaling support WPN Premium, which is kind of funny. They say, goodbye levels, and now we only have 2 levels. That's really what it's saying. It's like out levels, in scaling support, and WPN Premium. Well, if you have different categories, you have different levels. Anyways, that's just a minor nitpick with the wording. If the WPN has outgrown the 4-level system, how long until it outgrows one with 5 levels? So why are you making it 2-level one? Anyways, we need a paradigm that scales. We're doing that in 2 ways. First, no more levels. Beginning with Core Set 2020, we'll replace our level system with one that supports your LGS with far greater precision. Remember that 100-player FNM? They're going to get more promos in a volume capable of serving a player base of that scale. Overall, distribution of prize support will correlate more closely with the health of a store's community. More on that shortly. Second, we're proud to introduce WPM Premium, which is a level. As in-store magic grew to new heights over the last decade, a new class of game store emerged. The bar raisers, the benchmark setters, the standard bearers. That's WPM Premium. I can't get over the fact that they said they're doing away with levels and then they have another level. Like, why? Who chose to word it this way? Anyways, WPM Premium is a public recognition of the best stores in the world, a way for Wizards to support them as such that it equals their contribution to the Magic community. We've already chosen the first wave. Premium stores will get the same benefits as all WPN members, plus exclusive events, priority and recognition in our store and event locator, upgraded promo materials, and more. We believe premium status is within reach for any WPN location, but the bar is high. At the moment, less than 5% of stores qualify. If you think your LGS offers an experience that ranks among the best, encourage them to apply. It's kind of, you know what, we'll go over this. We'll go over this later. I said I would read through the whole thing, and then we would talk about the points. So as much as I want to address things individually, I will continue on. Out, measuring quantity only. In, measuring quantity and quality. All right, well, anyways, we want players to find a world-class experience at their LGS, and by that we mean the whole experience. Not just playing Magic, shopping for it, learning it, hearing about it in the first place. From picking up their first full booster box to comparing the green Planeswalker deck and the black one. The best stores make all of this fun, and players reward them with loyalty when they do. WPN Premium is one way of measuring that experience and rewarding Of course, I'm going to get four in one go. All right. WPN Premium is one way of measuring that experience and rewarding WPN members accordingly. The new WPN will also introduce another new metrics. Right now, your LGS gets promo cards based on some data they report to us. Their total players, their biggest event, and a few others. But those metrics gradually lost relevance over time and often incentivized behavior that benefited neither players, nor stores, nor Wizards. That's all going out the window. Starting in June, WPN members will have just two targets: tickets and engaged players. The first is meant to measure quantity. The second is an attempt to measure quality. Let's take a look. Tickets represent the total number of entries across all of a store's events. Any format, Commander, Modern, Ranked, Casual, everything counts. And it counts the same player multiple times. You join a midnight pre-release, that's a ticket. You come back for the 5 p.m. pre-release on Saturday, that's another. Engaged players are the best indicator of the quality of experience a store offers. It's our phrase for a player who joins 6 events in either standard, draft, or sealed per year, so once every 2 months. With the institution of these new metrics and the sunsetting of the old ones, it'll be the stores that offer the best experience that get the best rewards. And what will those rewards look like? Out, individual promo cards. In, promo cards inside packs of 4. To be clear, we will still do promo cards, but they'll be in packs of 4, giving players more cards, more variety, and better curation, all without sacrificing the uniqueness players expect from things like FNM and open house promos. And 1 in 4 of the packs your LGS receives will have all foil contents. Here's a breakdown for the first run for Core Set 2020. Slot 1 is a promo stamped rare or mythic rare from the most recent set. Could be any rare or mythic rare. Slot 2 is a promo stamped mythic or mythic rare from a short curated list. These will be from standard legal sets, and they will be hand-selected by Magic's design studio. The list will be made public. Also, you'll see a curveball here and there. One such curveball will come with Core Set 2020. We'll show you when card previews start. You'll like it. Slot 3 is a promo-stamped alternate art basic land. Slot 4 is the promo slot. With each standard legal set, there will be a selection of special, season-specific cards, just like FNM promos, although for the first season, there will be 5 cards up from the usual 3. Most of the time, you can expect to see the alternate frame cards you're accustomed to, but again, here and there, we will throw a curveball. Some promos will be standalone cards. Buy a box, for example, will continue to come with buying a box. Out, complexity, in, simplicity. From the store's perspective, these packs simplify everything, both how they'll receive them and how they will give them out. How will they receive them? It's based on the health of their communities as measured by tickets and engaged players. And what about giving them out? Well, that's simpler than ever. They're discretionary. Store, how do we give them out? Wizards, however best serves your players. They are event agnostic. I love how they're going to put a term like event agnostic in when they're talking about simplicity. Come on now. I mean, I know what that means, but anyways, let's move on. Store, which events are these for? Wizards, whatever's best for your community. You get the idea. That's just a few of the many ways we're simplifying things in the new WPN. It's all aimed at a simple goal. Better experience for the retailer, better experience for the player. We've come a long way since oil changes in lumber. The WPN quadrupled tabletop Magic in 10 years. We want to keep that growth going for another 10. We hope to see you there. So that's the entirety of the article. I know that there is a lot to discuss here. Honestly, first of all, let's talk about the changing of levels. Now, they said they're getting rid of levels, but clearly they're not. They're creating two levels, essentially, where there is premium and non-premium. So there are levels regardless of what the article is saying. Now, premium obviously comes with some special benefits. They have not shown us exactly how they determine what the premium metrics are. Maybe they've gone back and looked over attendance numbers for a number of events and used essentially what they already consider their ticket and engaged player system. But as of yet, they have not made it clear to us how stores can become part of this premium experience. So telling people to have your store apply for premium status, well, what's the point? What's the point in having your store apply for premium status? You already have all the information and you've determined that our store doesn't meet up to that premium condition right now. So that to me is a little bit off. Okay, that part is a little wonky, honestly. I'm not a big fan of this whole we're not doing levels, but we are. To be fair, before the levels were very rigid. If you didn't know what it meant, basically dependent on your level, that would determine how many promos were sent out to your store specifically. So at a certain level, let's say you get 8 promos, and then the next level up would get 16, and the next level up would get 32. But that was a blanket across all of the stores. Their new approach is more tailored, it would appear, using the tickets and engaged system. And to me, that actually is a good idea. I don't know about you, but I know that I have seen YouTube videos where people are opening an inordinate amount of promotional gear without what they shouldn't really have access to. You'll be watching a channel open a whole bunch of like special booster packs that were given to stores for events that somehow all like, how do you end up with 60 of these packs? You couldn't have got them from playing in the events, and you couldn't got them from purchasing them from individual players. So it has to have been a store basically selling off promotional goods that were given to them instead of handing them out. Now, that's something that needs to be stepped on. And in terms of actually measuring the engagement and the number of players going to a store and sending out a commensurate amount of promos does actually help with that scenario. It means that stores that don't actually run any of the events or have anybody come out to the events won't be getting an excess of these promos that they can then foist on to the secondary market for a profit. So in that regard, I think it's fantastic. Also, this tailored approach means that stores that fit into different levels, like let's say what you need to understand is you needed to have a big tournament once a year. That was one of the key things. As a Magic store, one of the things you absolutely needed was at least one big event a year, because Wizards of the Coast was going to measure you by your biggest event. That's how it works. I know, because the owner of the LGS that I go to would fret every year about how to push up attendance for this one event to basically get as many people as possible there. Just how can I get as many people possible to at least one of these events, instead of looking for like a consistent environment where every week people come in and have whatever. There's more of a focus on you have to hit it big at least once a year. We're going to measure you by your high water mark. It doesn't matter what level the water is flowing at most times. It's where the wave has been the highest. That's the entirety of how we're going to judge you. So in this case, this is going to remove some stress from stores like, okay, you can't get 64 people out for an event, but you consistently have 20 people come out for every F&M. That's going to aggregate, right? That's going to build up and give you credit. And in terms of that, Wizards of the Coast will support that. Instead of a store where it's like, oh, we only get a few people out, but like when it comes to pre-releases, we can kill it, where we can get 100 people out for a pre-release, but from week to week, nobody goes to the F&M, nobody goes to the store at all, because the store just goes all out, where they're like, we'll make our pre-release packs super cheap, we'll give out tons of extra door prizes. Basically, stores that just bribe for their high watermark will have a tougher time, as opposed to stores that are consistently delivering an experience that draws people in. And this to me makes sense. Measuring engagement is a really important thing. And when you go off a high watermark tournament, you're not measuring engagement in the same way. So for me, that's a really good way of doing things. And when they talk about people coming back to a store where they have fun, where people make the experience a good time, that's the reality of it. If a store is run by Garbo people, essentially, you're going to have a Garbo experience. And as a result, you're not going to return. I've been to stores where I was like, I am never, ever setting foot in that place again. This place was miserable. And I know other stores that were run by essentially con men. So in this kind of a scenario, this will help tamp down on them getting resources that they shouldn't. It will save Wizards of the Coast money in terms of just sending out product to people who are just going to turn around and resell it instead of getting it to the players. Now, there are other changes here that are interesting as well. Obviously, the whole ticket system and engaged player system is interesting. Every single player is going to count as a ticket, so they'll obviously capture up all that ticket information and go, okay, over the year, instead of the high watermark, we're going to see how you're doing ticket-wise. The engaged players, where basically what they're talking about with engaged players, if it wasn't obvious or it just got missed in that whole article and we talked about it, it's any player who plays 6 events in standard, draft, or sealed per year. So you only have to be playing once every 2 months for Wizards to consider you an engaged player in terms of you counting for the store. And there will be players who blow way past that. I mean, I know I see the same regulars week in and week out for F&M, coming in Saturdays and Sundays for those events as well. And in other stores coming in during the week, you know, you have the regulars. So this sort of engaged player thing, they haven't set the bar too high here. They've allowed for people to have their own life schedule as well. You have to go and work. You have to do these other things. You can't get out to play Magic that often. As long as you're coming in once every 2 months to a store, you're going to count as one of the engaged player at that store. Obviously, they were able to sustain you coming in over a year. If you were having bad experiences, the store wasn't doing a good job, you would have migrated to another area. Unless, of course, you're that one store they're talking about that's like located out in the tundra, servicing everybody within like a 200-mile radius. Not much you can do there. Now, in terms of the way that they've changed the promos, I actually really like this. It's pretty interesting. Instead of just giving a promo card, they're going to have like, for example, let's think about Friday Night Magic. Like, let's say, for example, you're going to get a Light Up the Stage promo for F&M, because that's one of the recent ones they're giving out. Instead of just getting a Light Up the Stage, you're actually going to get a pack with a Light Up the Stage. You're going to get a promo stamped rare or mythic rare from the most recent set that's available in standard. I assume that that's standard. I assume when it comes to things like Modern Horizons, I mean, they don't specifically say that it's only standard sets, but I really don't think that the special one-off sets like Battle Bond, Conspiracy, Modern Horizons are going to be included in this. So I think this is going to be a promo stamped rare, mythic rare from the most recent standard set. So you'll get one of those on top of the promo. You get a promo stamped rare or mythic rare from a very select list. You'll get a promo stamped alternate art basic land, which is interesting as well. And then the 4th slot, obviously, is the promo that we spoke of. But 1 out of 4 of these packs that you get will also be all foil. So think something akin to your standard showdown packs, where these presumably are going to be sealed so you can't see the contents. Otherwise, the store owners would be able to decide who is getting foil packs, and it kind of takes away that extra lottery aspect. It does make me wonder if that means, does that mean going forwards, we're going to see F&M promos that are non-foil and every fourth one is foil? Or is it just that we'll still have foil F&M promos and the other 3 cards that would be regular will be foiled? How many of these cards are going to be regularly foiled? Because it seems to me like you'll probably be getting regular versions as all 4 cards, and 25% of those packs will be foiled, which actually will make those more of a commodity. When you hit them, there will be people who want to trade for them. On top of that, it actually also addresses the issue of people who don't like having foil cards. There's some people who specifically don't like having foil cards, but will use foils if they have them. So they'll actually be happier to get a regular version. Maybe the F&M promos going forward will have alternate art. I think this will, actually think about it. This will probably signal a change, because right now for F&M promos, what we're getting is foiled with a different frame, but with the same artwork. So what will we deal with going forward? Will it be different artwork and a different frame? Will it be the same artwork with a different frame, non-foiled, and then only 1 out of every 4 equal foiling? Because there is the issue with foil cards essentially being like marked cards in some cases, because they are curled and do stand out from your deck, so you can shuffle to them. So this can address that issue for people who are not fans of foils. And on top of that, it increases the reward level. Instead of just getting 1 card at Friday Night Magic, now you're going to get 4 cards, and 2 of them are going to be guaranteed rares or mythic rares, on top of you getting an alternate art basic land. And if they're interesting and attractive lands, like they did specifically, let's say, for example, with the Ravnica lands, where they have the really cool guild-aligned lands that you can get in the guild kits, and the foil ones that you could get from playing in Ravnica weekends and things like that, those lands, to me, were a home run. So if they're going to continue to do things like that, they're bringing added value to the table. Now, there's another excellent thing about this promo setup, and that is the strictures for how these promos are given out are pretty much all gone now. You get to decide how to use these promos. There's no more set amount. You have to give these out on this day. You have to do this. You have to do this. And that is better for store owners. As I know with the guy who runs the LGS that I go to, he was very meticulous about calling up Wizards when he had questions about how things could be dispersed. He always wanted to make very sure that he was abiding within the restrictions of the WPN. He never wanted to step outside the bounds and do anything that he's not supposed to. Now, there's a bunch of LGSs that are kind of crummy that don't do that and sell off their promos and do all kinds of skeezy things. But for people like the owner of the LGS I go to, it's going to remove that burden of concern where he can just use them as he sees fit, right? They can just be distributed in the way that best makes sense. So that, to me, is absolutely fantastic. On top of that, this entire change says to me that Wizards of the Coast, despite what a bunch of people want to say, are not abandoning LGSs. They're not abandoning paper Magic. They're not abandoning LGSs. When you take into account the fact that they have made a number of changes over the last years to create a season that runs all the way through for game stores, where you start with open house, and it used to run all the way to a store championship, but the store championship was moved and changed to a weekend event to fit into the middle of the season because it's more attractive to players, it draws more people out. You can see that they are dedicated to making changes to the WPN to actually properly support game stores. And they want to narrow in their focus to basically fit, instead of fitting like a random frumpy old sack, they want to fit like a skin-tight cat suit. Ooh, for the stores, if you know what I mean. They want to give a more tailored approach for stores depending on their actual turnout levels and their actual engagement. Instead of a more one-size-fits-all approach, they have this 2-tiered system now where it's basically like premium and non-premium, but even in those 2 tiers, you will get resources based on what is actually appropriate for your store. So to me, this speaks of a company that is engaged with the stores, that wants to give the stores the best chance they can to make sure they're getting what they need without also wasting extra resources and devaluing the entire thing. I mean, why are you going to care as much about going into the store and getting all these promo packs if you can just go online and buy them from the stores that are just throwing them out on eBay, right? So in that way, it helps to protect the property that has value for the stores. So overall for me, I see this as a really excellent announcement. I am mildly annoyed by their whole, we're getting rid of levels by introducing 2 levels. I mean, come on, guys. Some of the language choice is a little off, but overall it shows that their hearts and their heads are in the right place, and I personally am 100% behind this. I can't find much to pick apart and be unhappy with. Now, let me know what your opinions are, because maybe there's something that I'm missing. Obviously, I can't think of everything in this regard. And while you do that, we will go ahead and check in with the 6th color of Magic.
If you're wondering why I clapped, I use that so I sync up the audio and the video. I have a message for Perp. You still owe me a piece of cake. Together, we are the 6th color Magic.
And the final thing that we do is roll the golden scroll. The people have my back on Patreon or through channel memberships. Welcoming my newest patron, Starpath Little Mountain. Thanks for getting on board. You will see your name at the end of the Scroll of Glory. And to all of you, I say thanks for being here, and I shall see you tomorrow.